everybody to Men's Sexual Mastery. I'm so excited to be here today. I'm also on an Instagram Live here with my brother Ian Hawks, introducing Hawks as a new co-founder with this relaunch in Men's Sexual Mastery. And Hawks is just starting to share a little bit about his journey here. I'd mentioned as we began that he and I know each other through Sacred Sons, and dropped in this past December. And we were sharing a little bit about how deep our conversations went and how much resonance we feel with each other. And, we were just sharing about how where two or more are gathered, this idea of this pattern interrupt from any of us taking leadership, especially in something as taboo and potentially, has any potential risks as being a leadership in the sexual healing space, and having each other in these ways and holding each other. And in my opinion too, I didn't mention this yet, but I think the missing ingredient, or the secret ingredient of men's work and structures of accountability and structures of clearing charges and all this stuff that we've already been implementing into this relaunch of Men's Sexual Mastery into our team meetings. I feel like it's the secret ingredient that really helps us ground and not get lost in the energy. So, yeah, brother, I'll hand it off to you with that. Is there any thoughts you have on that? And I'd love to hear some of, I know we left off on the tab of a little bit of your journey, which I'd be happy to open up space for you to share.
Yeah, so one last piece I'll add in that I think is really powerful about this collaboration between us is we are in very different geographical locations. So Hawks here checking in from the Okanagan Valley, British Columbia, Canada. And Ben down
I'm
in
checking
Austin,
in from Austin, and I'm excited, bro. By the way, everybody, I'm flying up to under the Okanagan Valley next week for us to be recording all the new content for the new course, which is going to be released with the next group training May 14th. And this is going to be a synthesis of the course as it already exists today, which many of you have gone through, and it's already potent, but bringing in a lot of Hawks's tantric practices. And you've been in a 4-year relationship teaching couples intimacy workshops. A lot of your codes, we've been weaving this behind the scenes for months now. And yeah, bro, I'm really excited to be up there with you next week. But yeah, this piece of us being in different countries, technically, or geographic locations, has been a bit of a ride. Yeah.
this is what's possible at the age we live in now. And it's so important and valuable to have those times where we're in the same physical space, like we were able to drop in around the fire and those deep conversations in San Diego at the Sacred Sons EMX, and having you fly up here next week to drop in and record content together, and also dropping in every single day virtually in these ways, going through the rituals of our connection and those tools, as you mentioned, that we've been blessed with and bestowed with from the brotherhood spaces and men's work, and amalgamating all of this together to be a really aligned spiritual business venture that has the potential to create massive shifts, and already is, as I know you have already made huge ripples in the work that you've brought through with Men's Sexual Mastery. And I've also felt the immense positive influence that can have working just one-on-one with men, and having these conversations alone is paradigm shifting for a lot of men and women out there. And shout out to the women out there, because you mentioned, Ben, the healing for men in this work. And so I'll segue into a little bit about myself, and the why for me in this space is it really comes back to women. For me, I was raised primarily by my mother and sister. And so much love, so much gratitude, so much appreciation and awe for the women in my life. And I realize at this point, looking back on my life, that I have always oriented my missions towards being in service to the feminine. So I studied earth and environmental science at university, thinking I would go and be an environmentalist and save the planet. I got pretty jaded pretty quickly about the opportunities that were there for that. Government work wasn't cut out for me, being a black sheep, and the private industries. I spent a lot of time, so I worked as a tree planter for 12 years, planting around 2 million trees across the vast wilderness of British Columbia and Canada, and was really empowered in that work, believing that I was doing my part to help restore balance and harmony to our natural ecosystems, and yet still eventually realized that wasn't where I could make the most impact. And I was still part of working in that field. I was actually still part of a bigger machine that was out of alignment. And I wasn't able to apply myself in the ways that would have been required to really shift that machine. It wasn't my dharma. As I mentioned, I'm a black sheep, and there's a lot of policy and government work involved in actually creating the shifts that I knew in my heart was necessary. So uh, my best friend passed away. He died of an overdose several years ago, and that was a real wake-up call for me. I realized my heart wasn't in the forestry work that I had been doing anymore, and I realized there was a new calling within me to work with people and especially men.
That's it, brother. Yeah, get into that.
So searching for an answer of how to support men suffering quietly, silently, and overwhelmingly, I found my way into the men's workspace, and I found the organization Sacred Sons. Shout out to Sacred Sons.
Shout out to Sacred
So much
Sons. Yeah.
much gratitude for what Sacred Sons is bringing through and what the other men's work organizations are bringing through. It's so needed. And so I dove all in with that. And I at the same time I dove all in with a breathwork facilitator training because I realized there's also a deep need for transformational experiences, for people to have the opportunity to remember who they really are, to quiet the mind and drop into the body. And with that, the nervous system regulation that comes, that actually provides the awareness and the presence to shift our life moment by moment. And the plant medicine world was also something that I dove all in at that point in my life because I had already received so much from plant medicines and I wanted to study in the ceremonial way. And so these three aspects were met around the same time in my life with the discovery of this whole world of sacred sexuality. The first book I read that sparked it into my mind was The Way of the Superior Man, which really isn't explicitly at all about sacred sexuality, but David Detta in that book, he mentions holding our seed, maybe have intercourse without ejaculating. And I was like, huh, okay, I'll try that out. And so uh, that started to open up a whole other world of possibilities for me. And as you mentioned, my partner, Aspen, she and I had both gone through our own journeys before meeting each other with celibacy, intentional celibacy. And for Aspen, she had gone deep into the world of sensual embodiment. And she's a naturopathic doctor with a specialization in pelvic floor therapy. And so she was working deeply with her own pelvic floor with yoni eggs, and she was really in this journey of embodying her own sensuality and being in her own energy. And I, as I mentioned, had also gone through a celibacy period of my own because I noticed something wasn't quite right with my relationship with sexuality. uh, Excessive ejaculation, pursuit of women for my own validation, all these aspects that I realized were not serving me, but I didn't really have the answer. I was just like, I'm gonna stop everything and try that out, which served as a hard reset for my sexuality, and I'm really grateful for that period. However, that also wasn't the way for me because I personally choose to uh, sex is incredibly important for me in my life, and in no way, shape, or form is giving that up really in service to my authentic expression and how I want to show up and be in the world. So, so much, so much gratitude to Aspen and to the to the universe for bringing us together. Because when we met, we before we had any physical intimacy, we had had long conversations about sex and sexuality and unconventional ways of relating. And we were both so curious to try and explore different things that once we did join together physically, it was like, it's on. And we both went all in. We very quickly decided we would read a book, Urban Tantra by Barbara Corellis. Together, we read this book together and implemented everything in the book. And it was this whole world of Tantra and Neo Tantra that opened up to us. And uh, there was a rapid evolution of our journey in that space that as I was practicing and learning these tools and putting them into implementation, I was just like, what the fuck? Why is this not being screamed from the rooftops? This should be taught. I wish I'd learned this 20 years ago. This should be taught in schools. This needs to be a part of the dialogue around sexuality. And in the culture that I grew up in, it wasn't. So that was to circle it back to brotherhood and breath work and plant medicine, this pillar of sacred sexuality, I quickly realized, oh, this is actually my calling, and this is where I can blend all of these other modalities that I've been training in and bring it together in a way because sex and sexuality, sacred sexuality is deeply woven into the breath and the nervous system. It tantra and ceremonial 3 hour sex dates as you know you like to call them and we call them in the program. It's very ceremonial, bringing in the aspects and the shamanic work from the plant medicine world and the brotherhood space, learning what is a truly embodied, healthy, mature expression of masculinity and the polarity dynamics. This is all deeply woven into sacred sexuality and how we can show up as embodied lovers in alignment and showing up to our fullest potential. And so I took some trainings, and Aspen and I have gone continually just deeper and deeper into this world, reading every book I can get my hands on. And at this point now it's all of these other pieces. I'm like brotherhood and plant medicine and breath work and my relationship to nature. And it's all coming together as I am so aware of now to fuel this emergence of the new old way of sacred sexuality that our culture is ready for, that men are ready for, women have been ready for a long time. I don't want the women in our culture and in our world to need to wait any longer for men to be ready to show up, to really show up for the women in our lives in all of the ways, with presence, with attunement, with reverence. And so that's, in a nutshell, why I'm here.
Yeah, brother. I honor you for not for being on the rooftop now, for standing alongside me on this rooftop right fucking now. If we have anything to do with it, this will be spread as far and as wide as possible. And that is our mission. And we invite any other brothers tuning in, you know, who are sharing this mission. There's a reason you're here too. This is all of our sacred birthright. And I love what you brought through, Hawks, you know, especially this the lens of being in service ultimately to the feminine in every layer and every on every capacity in every capacity and every level, whether that's Mother Earth, whether that's our female partners, creating safety, not just, I mean, all the mind blowing orgasms for like for your lover, for your partner, but also the safety to know, to be able to hold it too, and to have that full range of spectrum of being able to ravish and like fully unleash all of, when it's in consent in all the ways, and guide her into, and ourselves into these whole new dimensions of sexual experience and connection to the divine actually within ourselves and within partnership, and the ability to fully hold it. And I know you know this and you're speaking a little bit to it yourself. I think that this idea of, yeah, protecting the feminine too, um, and knowing where we're coming from as men, and not coming from scarcity, not coming from extraction, as we have from Mother Earth, but coming from deep honor and devotion and service. I see you in that, brother. I honor you in that, the journey that's brought you here. Yeah. I also just wanted to highlight too, one last point in that, is like with, I could feel when you were sharing about your brother Matt, who passed away with the drug overdose. And shout out to Matt. He's been here with us. He's come up in this space, bro, as we've been dropping in. I was there with you, and if it's okay with me sharing, just like you, when you were spreading his ashes at that first Sacred Sons. And I feel him on our team, bro, in big, big ways. And it's funny we're sharing this right now on the live, but like he's come through in multiple moments, and this piece of like the reclamation of the feminine within us as well, like the being able to process the emotions, being able to feel the body, to feel our pleasure, actually our sexuality. It's like pleasure, pain, all of it is held in our bodies too. And this is also what we're healing, and that's actually what's at the root of all of this. Because as within, so without, if we're not in right relation with the feminine within us, if we're not in a caring, loving way, if we're not listening, we can't be guided, and we're going to continue numbing and distracting and running and trying to get out external women, or sex or porn or money or whatever it is, to try to fill that big empty hole within us that is actually these neglected parts of ourselves, and it's so beautiful, man, to weave this into the men's work, yeah, it feels like a real completion is happening. So, um, yeah, I really honor you in that, man. Thank you for bringing through those codes.
Thank you. I always appreciate hearing your reflections after a share because you get it so deeply, and also it helps me to remember, like, so in this moment to bring it back what I was sharing originally about, it started with the reverence and appreciation and desire to give back to the feminine from what I've received from my mother and my sister and Earth Mother and all of the women in my life. And this realization for me came, for a long time, actually, I was fixated on the earth and environmental side of things. And I was looking at it, I realize now, from more of a top-down approach of like, oh, we gotta save the forests and save the planet. And that's amazing. Like, so much appreciation for the people out there who have devoted their lives to that and are making real impact. For me, what I eventually realized and it was around that time of the passing of Matt, is that the shift that I am here to help facilitate is that shift within. And as you said, as within, so without. And so I believe that when we as individuals, and just speaking for men and speaking for myself, when I heal that relationship between the masculine and the feminine within me, and when I heal that relationship between me as a dominant masculine moving through the world with women. So when I really heal the parts of myself that were failing to show up in the light in previous relationships, as I bring those aspects, those shadows into the light, and I'm able to show up in my intimate partnership more and more refined and aligned. This is this is creating ripples that transcend interpersonal relationships between people into the relationship between humans and Earth. And so I actually believe at this point wholeheartedly that doing this work and sharing these teachings and these messages and creating spaces for men to come into that inner alignment and also that outer alignment with their partners and with the other women in their lives, this is actually another way that we are serving to facilitate the healing of our collective, all beings everywhere, human, plant, animal, earth, stone, star. Like the this is the path that I'm on. And that's the guiding light. And actually it all starts within. And we can do this we all do this one person at a time ourselves. And I had heard that theoretically in the past and have since come to know it. And And so it has alleviated a lot of stress for me, of feeling like, oh, I need to fix these huge things in the world and actually just come back to me all the time, every day, moment to moment, coming back to me and then coming into all the people that I relate with and have the opportunity to work with and to learn from, to know that like we are all doing it every moment that we come into inner alignment and move with intention in the world in harmony. We're doing it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Yeah. 1,000%. It's to me, a lot of what you're speaking, I can feel it moving in my body right now. It's this safety within myself. It's the ability to lead myself through the storms, through the disruptions, the feminine, we can call that the feminine energy, the emotions, and being able to know how to ground myself, how to regulate my nervous system. And a lot of this stuff it's so crazy, like how sexuality and a lot of the tools we teach are like it's rooted in every moment, and actually life itself. As we go deeper into this this work, we realize like every moment on a deep level, like the earth it's like an explosion of birth and death. If you look around in nature, things dying and being born, and little miniature supernovas, orgasms in a way. There's like this orgasmic nature to reality itself as we begin tuning deeper and deeper and deeper into the subtle. And as we create more safety, as we sift through all those things in our felt sense that we've been avoiding, underneath all that is actually so much pleasure, so much. And of course, bringing that into the bedroom and bringing that into relationship just amplifies it 10,000x. And also, I love what you're highlighting around, starting from a place of starting within, and shifting the world from the inside out, because the law of resonance dictates that we attract what we are being. So any partner we're with is, there to be a teacher of exactly a mirror of where we're at. And I'm so happy that you have Aspen, and just witnessing you guys in the little bits I have, and the medicine you all bring through in your couples tantra workshops, and you guys have been together what, 4 years? You just had an anniversary, right? um, there are very few men in this space, in the sexual healing space, that also have, I mean, there's a depth, there's an honor I have for the gauntlet of work that it actually takes to be like deep in this exploration, deep in that inner work, and just maintaining right relation with your feminine partner. And I know that there's something incredibly special about years and years of time going through the full spectrum of the human experience together. So yeah, really honoring you and the deep integration you've had with your inner feminine and are continuing to have. This journey is never ending, right? But that also being near to you in your relationship, you know. So yeah, really honoring you in that. I did want to, man, I feel like so everybody, just so you know, like with Hawk stepping in here, we're going to be co-hosting the podcast more. We're going to be having many, many, many more of these lives because I know Hawks, you and I could riff on this stuff all day long for many, 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 many days. But I did want to just take a moment to pivot and talk a little bit about just what's coming up for the community and the evolution of men's sexual mastery. Um, so what's happening right now, everybody, is Hawks is deep behind the scenes, basically creating a whole new course as he has finished the current iteration of men's sexual mastery. And, just to share, like when Hawks reached out to me, I think it was around New Year's, it was like, hey, bro, I'm chomping at the bit. Like a course is coming through me. This knowledge it's like, it's wanting to be birthed. It's happening now. And I was like, bro, come on into MSM. Like, let's talk, and so that was the beginning of the seed of this collaborative course. And so, yeah, Hawks has been deep behind the scenes developing that, and I've also been working. We'll be bringing in Bijan in a little bit here too to introduce him. There's been just basically this emergence of a team that's come up, and Hawks and I are taking this new lead with this launching this new course, which again will be released May 14th with the next 8-week group training cohort. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm flying up there in a week or next Thursday to spend the week up there with you, brother. And we're going to be recording all the new content, prepping for this whole new Men's Sexual Mastery 2.0 course launch. And yeah, you're going to be coming down here for the next immersion May 9th here in Austin. So super excited to have you down here, man, for the next in-person training. I think this will be our fourth immersion here in Austin. And then we're planning an immersion. We got one on the books for Toronto, which funny enough has been on the books for a long time, but just the pieces weren't quite coming together yet. And so we just locked that in October 11th in Toronto. So stay tuned for the updates on that. But yeah, just to fill everybody in on some of these details, this is what's happening at MSM. We're expanding into a team, and I'm so honored, bro, again, to have you here alongside me.
Yeah, amen, brother. It's, it's a lot. There's a lot unfolding, and it's gonna be a ride. It's gonna be really powerful. I'm just so excited to see where this goes. Um, yeah. I feel like I want to just close a little piece that you mentioned before, speaking to the relationship that I have with Aspen and moving through the human experience with that. And the impression I got is that there was a sense of like there's been challenges or it's been difficult. And the truth of it is it's been so easy because we have had such a powerful, sacred, intimate connection right from the start. And my theory is you get that piece dialed in a relationship and you keep it, which is that's where some of the maybe work you might call it, but I think it's really just divine play and blissipline, as you call it. But keeping that flame alive. So being the fire keeper of the relationship, and this, as we get into in the course, is a lot around polarity, keeping the polarity dynamics really juicy so that fire is always there. And when that's in place, relationships can be so easy because if a woman is truly deeply satisfied, feels fully seen, fully appreciated, revered, respected, and filled up with all the pleasure that she can possibly hold, which is actually an infinite amount. So good luck, but the cup can runneth over. And there's just this deep knowing that I have that this is actually the medicine that so many relationships need. And the other challenges that can arise, disagreements, whatever, it's all so manageable when that intimate connection is really burning bright. and maintained. And I know there's challenges that come with childbirth and how do we find, but anyways, well, we don't need to get into all of that right now, but there are ways, and I know from experience that relationships can be really easy, actually, and so fun and so playful for years and years. Forever, and intimacy and physical connection can actually just be progressively getting deeper and better and more expansive and more pleasureful. Um, and it requires a level of commitment to show up and to understand the dynamics at work and to be really embodied. And so this is another aspect of what I know we're sharing with the world, and that has the potential to heal relationships and bring couples so much closer together. And there's so much more we could go into, but I just wanted to mention that actually like can be really easy.
Yeah, yeah, bro. I'm glad you said that because, yeah, I was just, I guess, yeah, I just assume that things are, relationships are like a challenge. I myself was married with my last partner for like 8 years. And I love that reframe because, it totally makes sense too. Like when we're making love and not war with ourselves and with the world around us, we can bring that into partnership. It's like I had a visual of like the water and like a boulder in the middle of a creek, and how instead of being a boulder against bashing against another boulder, like when we know how to regulate and move and twist and make love and shift, whether it's between the masculine or the feminine, to me it's really expanding our range as men. But there's this ability to like subtly, it's kind of like the Austin Powers mojo, sort of like, yeah, baby, like, yeah, whatever, baby. Like you're like not taking it so seriously in some of these moments when things get heated. um, Being able to regulate our nervous systems, come into these practices and bring the smile, bring that penetration of love into any interaction, especially relationship. It makes so much sense that like, oh yeah, like relationship can just be this great game that we're playing, that once you get really good at the game, it can actually just be really blissful even through the challenges. So thank you for sharing
Mhm.
that, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And, communication. And this is something I see us releasing another course down the road, not the flagship offering that we're releasing May 14th, but there are other relating skills like communication that are foundational to navigating those challenges when they arise as well. But really, it can all come back to nervous system regulation, which we teach, we go into in depth and embodiment in the course, and having that awareness and that ability to self-regulate is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you said, just it can make those challenges really easy to navigate or at least manageable. Yeah.
Yeah, we say it all the time in our training. It's like your ability to lead a partner is directly correlated. Like, can you really lead yourself? Like,
Mhm.
do you actually trust yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you know how to lead yourself? Like, if we don't have that baseline, how the fuck are we going to bring to anybody else, you know? So again, full circle back to this whole conversation around, this being an inside out game, as within, so without. Um, yeah, yeah. Hopefully this has been helpful to some of you guys tuning in. I wanted to take a moment just to also introduce our back of house technical wizard, automation specialist. I mean, he's just a incredible Swiss Army knife technical wizard who is in one of our trainings right now, but I've known in community for a while now, and it was at a recent immersion. Bijan, it is so awesome, bro, to have you in the team here. Everybody, welcome Bijan, technical wizard.
Thank you, Ben. Man, it's been so awesome listening to you both talk and to be both on both ends of the things. So, me and Ben met last year, and we felt this connection really aligned on a lot of things. And so a few months ago, I went to his last in-person event. And I was so glad I did because it was a really impactful experience to introduction, like day-long experience. And I'm like sending it to my buddies to come to the next one in Austin because it was so potent. And the practices that I learned from there and which we're doing together, because after that I decided to join the group teachings, and that's where then I met Hawks, and so going through the weekly accountability and the daily check-ins, it's been such beautiful medicine for me because I've been on a journey of healing my sexual energy and understanding that energy for over a decade through different experiences of recovery and I feel that there's so much experience on the recovery side of abstaining from the pain where our sexuality gets twisted out. And what you brothers both bring is so much of the positivity around pleasure and not cutting off our root of this part of our being and learning how to integrate it. Like y'all talk about the feminine and the masculine, integrating these pieces. And so much of what you both have taught me is around the embodiment of doing the practices, coming back to the body, and so as I've been on the receiving end of taking the course and being in group, I saw so much value into this. I was like, Ben, what do you think about me helping out on some of the back end things? And so it's been really fun to use my experience as a software engineer and as an automation engineer to support MSM because I'm on board with you both of you guys where I see the value this is bringing to my life, but I also see this as essentially education for men that's not really available and not really accessible to so many guys. And I know so many guys who would benefit from this. And I want to be part of that mission, helping spread the millions of seeds that Hawks has planted, the actual seeds, and then to the metaphorical and the idea seeds that you both are creating. Because, as a consumer of this, I also feel called to help with y'all's message and producing and leading because it's really potent and it's really necessary at this time. Like you were saying, Ben, we're at a right juncture to bring this more fully into the world.
Mm. Yeah, Bijan, thank you for sharing, brother. It's so good to have you here, man. And if I could just say, on my part, like having your expertise with all your technical experience coming back a house and feeling your genius and you just stepping forward like you did. Just like, hey, bro, like I am so about like what this mission is and like I resonate so deeply with it. Like, how can I support? Um, just the way it came about. I mean, same thing with you, Hawks. Like, if I could speak for myself and my experience, like, you guys just kind of came out of the woodworks in a way that, like, I couldn't have hired a headhunters to like find you guys. It was like so spirit guided and um, having this. I feel like within the men's sexual mastery culture, like having this deep passion for what it is we're doing for this mission of like reaching millions of men and spreading this information so that men can rewire their sexuality and become multi-orgasmic and simultaneously like go through the greatest transformational journey of their entire life, like rewiring their energy. Like, fuck yeah. Like, and the ways that we meet every day, like at our little, so we've been meeting every Monday through Friday now. We have team co-flow meetings, and it's really fun because we've been structuring the men's work stuff, check-ins, charge clearings, intention setting, and then going into radical implementation, but also a space for our hearts to be felt and for us to be sharing and syncing up with like what we're moving through that day. Like Bijan, this morning you were sharing a process you were in. I was sharing a process I had last night. It's like this deep level of intimacy that I know energetically is just what you said, Hawks, earlier about just the ripples into the quantum field of how we're showing up. I sense in this brotherhood, there's just so much coherence and just resonance around our mission and this thing that we're all moving towards, and guiding our other brothers towards, which is our highest embodiment, which is the service of unconditional love of, what I would call God, the one, and service to the one. And even, the prayers we offer up before our meetings and even before hopping on this call here, I'm just so grateful to be surrounded by brothers like you guys on the team, as well as brothers in the training, as well as brothers in the programs, and brothers who graduated and continue to be in circle, and just this whole ecosystem of brotherhood that we've created to approach this subject in the best way. It has been just such an honor to share this journey with you guys. So thank you, Bijan, for coming on the team, and thank you, Hawks, as well, for stepping in alongside me. And yeah, really, really excited for everything to come. Love you guys so much.
Yeah, Ben, if I could share as just because I've been in this space for a while, but I'm new to the practices that you and Hawks teach. And as just a brief testimonial, hours of orgasmic sex is very possible, and not something I had experienced before, learning these tools and technologies that y'all bring, because I think there are these great books and great ideas that people explore, but it's one thing to have it in the head, it's another thing to experience it through the body. And just as like the things that y'all teach and that we get to practice together, and that we bring it to our team meetings as well as in our own personal practices and commitments and agreements, it's so exciting to grow this, like Hawks, you with your partner, and but also even solo pleasure cultivation. There's so much to explore here, and I just hope that the guys listening to this can really feel this of what I want to share here is that, like, you can have a 10 out of 10 sex life, but it's not going to be, if you follow what the movies and television shows and pornography show out there of what that looks like or feels like or seems like, you're going to get lost because it's an internal experience from what I've heard and learned from y'all. And so I'm just really, you make it pretty compelling and easy to be on board with this because the results are pretty staggering. So I just wanted to offer that up.
Yeah, bro. Well, you've been putting the reps in, and that's really what it's about. It's like we say in our work, it's like what's awakening in you is awakening in me, and the degree to which any of us continues to step into deeper embodiment, our reality, our quantum reality will just keep shifting and keep upgrading to reflect back who we are being in the world. And I just really honor you, Bijan, in the short term. I mean, we met 6 months ago or so, and then, or maybe it was a year, but even in the short time since you've been in this work, it's been beautiful to witness you in daily accountability as well, shifting your states and bringing more of that safety we talked to earlier. Hawks and I were talking about, in that embodiment of safety, of feeling what's here instead of numbing it or running from it, which all of us have these programs we've inherited. And watching you step into that combination of like masculine assertiveness and consistency with your practices and embodiment, as well as that feminine love and grace and patience and softness, like merging both of those together, as we talk about in Wu Wei or the middle path in Taoism. Like, I just want to speak that you're doing it, man, and I think the reason you're even on here right now speaking with us is a reflection of just the work you put in. So I really honor you, bro, for stepping into the work, and thank you so much for sharing your experience. For the brothers listening in, I know this has probably been, I don't even know how long, 45 minutes, an hour. We've been on an Instagram live. For those of you who stuck with us, thank you so much. We see you here, Jimbo, and I think Luis, Jay Hanley, Creating the Ripple. A bunch of you guys were in the chat. We see you. We honor you, brothers. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you all soon. We'll be tuning in next week. So in the meantime, have an amazing week. Stay tuned. Sending so much love your way. And see you soon, brothers. Peace.
And brothers, love you. Bye.